My name is Jack. 17 years ago, my father, General Richard Thorne, U.S. Army officer, a man whose medals gleamed brighter than his conscience, slammed the heavy oak door of our McLean mansion behind me. I was 12, carrying nothing but the clothes on my back and a backpack with a single change of underwear and a dog-eared copy of Treasure Island. My crime? Existing too loudly, perhaps, reminding him too much of the mother who'd fled his cold fury years before. His parting words, delivered with parade ground precision, still echo. Learn the world doesn't owe you a damn thing, boy. Make your own way. Or don't. My own way began on the rain-slicked pavement behind the towering Grand Royale Hotel. For 7 years, that patch of concrete, reeking of dumpsters and desperation, was home. I became a ghost in the machine of the Grand Royale, a skinny, perpetually grimy cleaner named John Doe on the payroll. By day, I scrubbed toilets until my knuckles bled, polished brass until my reflection blurred, and vanished into the shadows whenever anyone important passed. By night, I burrowed into cardboard fortresses, the rumble of the hotel's generators my lullaby. My shame was a physical weight. General Thorne's son sleeping rough? It was unthinkable. So Jack Thorne vanished. Only John existed, a phantom of poverty. The footpath wasn't just uncomfortable. It was a gauntlet. Hunger was a constant companion, gnawing and familiar. But worse were the predators. One rain-lashed night, a group of older men, reeking of cheap liquor and malice, found my nest. Their laughter was jagged glass. The struggle was brief, futile. The pain was obliterating. They took more than my innocence. They carved a canyon of terror into my psyche. After that, sleep was a myth. Every rustle, every footstep, sent electric jolts of panic through me. Another time, a strung-out man, eyes wild and empty, mistook me for someone who owed him. He held a shard of broken bottle to my throat, spitting incoherent threats until a distant siren startled him away. And the police? They saw only a grubby street kid. I was hauled in once for loitering with intent, thrown into a cold cell, mocked, and released without apology. Intent? My only intent was survival, invisible and silent. Mr. Henderson, the hotel supervisor, was a weasel in a cheap suit. He'd watch me work, a calculating glint in his piggy eyes. One sweltering afternoon, he cornered me in the stifling linen closet. "Johnny boy," he wheezed, his breath sour. "You're a hard worker. My wife, Doris, well, the house is a bit much for her. Needs a strong lad like you, few hours a week. Cash in hand. Very discreet." His meaning oozed like grease. It wasn't cleaning he wanted. The thought of being alone in that man's house, vulnerable again. Bile rose in my throat. "No, sir," I managed, my voice barely a whisper. "Just the hotel job, sir." His face hardened instantly. "Disloyalty, John. Bad trait. Clear your locker. Now." Just like that, 7 years of grinding survival evaporated. No severance, no reference. Just back out onto the street. Rock bottom isn't a place. It's a feeling. Cold, wet concrete pressing against your cheek, the hollow certainty that there's no lower to go. I wandered for days, a hollowed-out shell. Salvation came in the form of a faded, help-wanted sign tacked lopsidedly to a fence near the gritty Northside rail yard. Gatekeeper. Shifting heavy barriers, logging freight cars, enduring the endless shriek of brakes and the diesel fumes that coated your throat. It was brutal, monotonous work, but it was inside. A tiny, grimy signal box became my castle. The steel door had a lock. Mr. Davies, the rail yard supervisor, was a gruff bear of a man with hands like weathered shovels and eyes that held a surprising depth. He didn't ask questions I couldn't answer. He saw me shivering one bitter January morning, my threadbare jacket no match for the wind whipping off the tracks. Without a word, he tossed me an old, grease-stained rail coat. "Don't freeze on my watch, lad," he grunted. It was the first kindness offered without strings in a decade. He became a silent anchor. So did Scruff, a mangy terrier mix who haunted the yard. I'd save bits of my meager lunch, crusts of bread, scraps of meat, and he'd materialize, tail wagging tentatively. We'd share the silence, him gnawing, me watching the endless lines of freight cars snake into the horizon. He was the only soul I touched without flinching. The job paid barely enough for a rented cot in a flophouse room shared with 3 other silent, broken men. But it was inside, with walls, a door that locked. I saved like a miser possessed. Every dollar was a brick in a fortress against the past. Lunch was often a single piece of fruit. Clothes were mended until they disintegrated. Entertainment was watching the trains or reading discarded newspapers. The dream wasn't grand. A roof, for wheels, an engine. A place that was mine, that could move, that offered escape. A sanctuary on wheels. That dream kept the nightmares at bay, sometimes. For 9 years I watched trains. I watched seasons change the grime of the rail yard. I watched Mr. Davies retire, replaced by a younger, less observant man. I watched Scruff grow gray around the muzzle. And slowly, painfully, the numbers in the battered savings account book grew. Reaching $1,000 felt like scaling Everest. $5,000 felt like touching the moon. The dream solidified, took shape, reliable, simple, strong. Then, yesterday I saw her, parked outside Joe's Honest Autos. A dusty, no-nonsense lot. A 1998 Volvo 240. Box-shaped, unpretentious, painted a faded, dignified blue. She wasn't flashy. She looked enduring, like she'd weathered storms. Like me. The price was exactly, terrifyingly, what I had saved. $4,800. Every single penny I'd scraped and clawed for over nearly a decade. Walking onto that lot felt like walking into a dream. Or a trap. Joe, the owner, was a laconic man with oil under his fingernails. He saw my worn work boots, my second-hand jeans. He didn't see Jack Thorne, disgraced son. He saw a rail yard worker. "Solid car," he rasped, kicking a tire. "Tank. Runs good. Needs a wash." My voice felt rusty. Can I test drive her?" He tossed me the keys. The weight of them in my hand was seismic. Sitting in the driver's seat for the first time, the smell of old vinyl, faint oil and dust. It smelled like possibility. I turned the key. The engine rumbled to life, a deep, steady thrum that vibrated through the seat, up my spine. It sounded like strength. I drove around the block, hands gripping the wheel like a lifeline. It wasn't smooth, but it was solid. It moved when I told it to. It stopped when I needed it to. Control. Beautiful, terrifying control. Back at the lot, the paperwork was a blur. Signing Jack Thorne felt like reclaiming a stolen relic. Handing over the cashier's check, the physical manifestation of 17 years of blood, sweat, terror, and dogged hope, made my hands shake. Joe counted it slowly, meticulously. He handed me the title and a single key. "She's yours, Jack. Take good care of her." I didn't drive away immediately. I sat, parked right there on Joe's lot, in the driver's seat of my car. My car. The blue dashboard, the worn steering wheel, the key dangling from the ignition. They shimmered. I ran a hand over the vinyl seat, tracing a small tear near the seam. Real. Solid. Mine. And then it hit. Not a wave but a tsunami. The locked door of the mansion slamming shut. The cold, wet cardboard. Henderson's leering face. The bottle at my throat. The crushing weight in the police cell. the suffocating shame, the gnawing, constant fear, the bone-deep loneliness, the years of hiding, of being less than human, the sheer, exhausting effort of not giving up. It all roared up from the dark cellar where I'd buried it. It collided violently with the impossible reality of the blue Volvo, of sanctuary, of escape, of something mine. A sob ripped from my throat, raw and ugly. Then another. I buried my face in my hands, the steering wheel cool against my forehead. My shoulders heaved. Tears, hot and shameful and utterly unstoppable, streamed down my face, dripping onto my jeans, onto the floor mat of my car. 17 years of unshed grief, terror, and furious, stubborn hope erupted. I cried for the boy thrown away. I cried for the phantom who cleaned toilets. I cried for the victim on the footpath. I cried for the years stolen. I cried with the terrifying, overwhelming relief of having survived, and finally, having something tangible to show for it. The sound that filled the car wasn't just crying. It was the wail of a soul being scoured clean. I don't know how long I sat there, shaking, the world outside blurring into meaningless shapes through the tear-streaked windshield. Eventually, the storm subsided, leaving me hollowed out but strangely light. Wiped raw, I took a deep, shuddering breath. The smell of the car, my car, filled my lungs. Dust, vinyl, oil, possibility. I turned the key again. The engine's dependable rumble was an anchor. I put the car in drive. My hands were steady now. I pulled out of Joe's lot, the tires crunching on gravel. I didn't have a destination. Not yet. I just drove. Past the flophouse. Past the looming, indifferent Grand Royale. Past the dark alley mouth that still held shadows. Past the rail yard entrance where Scruff might be waiting for a crust. The city lights began to blur as I found the on-ramp to the highway. I rolled down the window. The rushing air was cold, clean. It whipped the last vestiges of tears from my face. I pressed the accelerator gently. The engine responded willingly, pushing the sturdy blue car forward. The headlights cut twin beams through the gathering dusk, illuminating the road ahead, straight, open, unknown. For the first time in 17 years, I wasn't hiding. I wasn't running from. I was driving towards what I didn't know, but I was moving, encased in my own steel sanctuary, powered by my own hard-won freedom, leaving the ghosts in the exhaust fumes. The rumble of the engine was the only sound I needed. It was the sound of the past receding, and the future, wide and uncertain and terrifyingly beautiful, opening up before me. Mile by precious mile, I drove into the night, finally, gloriously home.